Hey everyone, and welcome back to another weekly forecast video at Haunted Cerebral Astrology. I hope everyone's eclipse week has been manageable on some levels. Mine has been kind of intense, and it continues. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently this week. I'm going to try and just do the astrology more intuitively rather than through notes. So let's see how that goes. You let me know if you like to hear all my notes on things, or if you want to see things more intuitively. Leave a comment down below. If you want to support this channel, very easy. Just hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share this with a friend. If you want to book a consultation with me now that we're in eclipse season, if there's intense things happening with you as well, contact information's down below. So I'm going to get us onto the chart here, the live clock. We can see the astrology for the week here. Hold on. Main things happening. I mean, today already there was this Sun-Neptune square, which I think I'm going to break down a bit. I kind of talked about it a bit last week, but I think that this is kind of highlighting how maybe some of our directions and our ambitions right now are maybe getting a bit of a reality check, and that maybe where we have been imagining where we are is maybe not completely lined up with where we actually are. And then I think that's also reinforced this week with a number of other transits, including the Saturn-Uranus square. This is the second one of the year. Now that Saturn's retrograde, it's about going backwards on things, and also kind of this halfway point in the year on many levels, and reinserting that tension between those two areas of life. So I'll break that down too. And then we also have Jupiter stationing retrograde at the end of the week. So any kinds of big growths happening, those are now going to start to go backwards, since there's something left over in our Aquarius part of life and in Aquarius that still needs Jupiter's attention until next year. So let's kind of break this down. So starting in the morning, so let's go. I'm going to go back to the start of the day, and we can go back to midnight. I'm doing the astrology here from Berlin, Germany. It's kind of going to be, it's kind of the background noise. You can adjust it to anywhere you are in the world, and it will still apply. I may talk about things being in the nighttime or in the daytime. So I'm going to try and compare those for different people in different parts of the world. But essentially the themes that I'm talking about can be translated to wherever you are in the world. So all you have to do is adjust the times. So starting off in the beginning of the day, we can already see that Saturn-Uranus square, I mean, even though it's not exact, it's building up. I mean, they're in the same degree. So in many ways, it's been like that now for a little while. So this is kind of what's going on in general. We can kind of see that throughout in the world. Different things we thought were stable are becoming unstable. Different things we thought were controlled are being broken down. So I'll kind of talk about that more when we get into Tuesday, because that's, hold on. I went into Sunday, didn't I? Because that's when it goes exact. So let me get my notes out here. First thing we had in the morning was the Neptune Sun square. I kind of talked about this last week, but it happens also in the middle of the night. Maybe for some of us here in Europe, you get really interesting dreams, or very revealing dreams, maybe also a good night's rest on some level. For people who are not in European time zone, it may just be that maybe you're having a bit of a pink cloud moment, or that you're starting to see on some levels that your ideals, or that the dreams that you're having about things, the fantasies that you're working towards, maybe the visions you have and the dreams you want to work towards, are not exactly lining up right now. It may be that things are being let go of, or you're not able to keep up with plans. Maybe you also have to turn over something that you didn't want to, and maybe there's some disappointment attached to that. Maybe you thought that you could keep up with your ambitions, but it may be that the reality is that maybe your ambitions are going too far now, or that you just can't seem to keep up with them on some level. You can see that because it's the sun actually in an inferior square to Neptune. So the sun is actually moving away, going this way towards Cancer. And so since the conjunction with Neptune during Pisces season, it could be that now we're starting to see some of the fault lines in our plans. And I mean, this has been kind of a theme through the year, is like, where is the plans and the ambitions that we have, the ideals that we've set for ourselves? Okay, sorry about that. I had a bit of a technical difficulty. So where was I? Right. So that Neptune Sun square, I think, like, yeah, maybe some of the actions we've been taking, we've been working towards goals. We've been working towards ideals, situations for ourselves. Maybe there has been trying to put our energy into that, to put our focus into that. And now that there's this square with Neptune, I think it's like, okay, maybe the work we're doing towards the work that we've been doing day to day is not exactly adding up to much, or it's not the result. There's new results in, and those results mean that there's going to be some challenges for our plans. Maybe we had a job that now we lost, or maybe there's new sickness in the family, or there's sickness in your life. I mean, the sun also represents vitality, right? And with Neptune, there's kind of there's taking away, there's a decreasing nature to Neptune, where like veils are revealed, where the reality of things are revealed. And there can be a lot of emotion coming into that if there's some level of vitality, maybe with us or with family or somebody close to us or somebody we know, or maybe people around us are having health issues. And that can be challenges that we wake up to, or that we have to face. Let's say if we're in the US or in a different time zone, maybe in Australia or wherever, maybe we have to face on some level some concerns that have to do with health that we knew about, because with the sun, it's like things are steady, they're coming forward, but that still are hard and still are forceful with that square, still are not something ideal with Neptune involved, like they are going to be sad on some level. So that's kind of what's flavoring most of the morning. The sun also, the moon like moved out of that conjunction with Mars. And I don't know if anybody saw the news, but there was that explosion in China, and then also Mount Etna in Italy erupted again. And I thought that was kind of an interesting correlation. Also with the Uranus Saturn square, we got that the ending of the Israeli prime minister's leadership in Israel. So there's just some interesting things that went on in the last 24 hours on a mundane level that I think are being kind of shook up here. Also, I think you can also look at the Mount Etna thing with Venus and Uranus. Like, even though there was no destruction involved, there was no tragedies, as far as I know, that sextile, it's like there is a modification. There's some movement between, Venus, this Earth-like energy, and with the sea. I mean, it was in Sicily, so it's this island in the sea. And then Uranus, which is like shaking things up, the tectonic plates that are moving beneath the Earth in the Taurus area of life. And Venus rules Taurus. And so there's this like shaking up of the ground beneath things. Things are shifting in great ways, momentous ways. So that's kind of interesting. I thought that was something of note when I woke up. Anyway, so the moon moves away from that conjunction to Mars. So if there were any frustrations, there were any setbacks, there were any challenges that we had to face, that we had to confront and work through, the moon's kind of carrying that over through the day and giving us some time to deal with that, I think, until later when the opposition to Saturn and the square to Uranus perfects around 10 o'clock. So 9-10 o'clock, we get that perfection for that T square. I mean, I don't really use shapes so much in astrology, but look at that. That's kind of intense, right? So the moon's actually picking up on the Saturn Uranus square, which is going to go exact tomorrow. It's within 1 minute. So it's basically already happening. Like, we don't need it to go exact to know what's going on. This is what's going on. And I think the moon is activating that. I think ever since the moon went into Leo last night, I think things have been getting kicked around, been getting turned over. And I think this is a reflection of what was going on last Monday. I think when the moon was going through Taurus, that conjunction to Uranus, and it's like, okay, at that time, maybe there were some setbacks and there were some unexpected changes to our day-to-day and the way we were thinking things were supposed to go, the stable motions. And now it's like this flip where it's like, maybe now blocks they're not just blocks. Now they're actually descents on some level. And maybe there was some excitement from last week, and now it can probably even lead into some frustrations or disruptions for this week as well. Maybe we had thought that we could deal with things one thing at a time, but now they're kind of coming at us in threes. It's all in threes now. So things that we thought we could steadily work through, and we had a plan, and we thought that we could get to it when we thought it made sense to get to it. Now it's like, okay, there's no time. You have to make a decision now. You have to work with the reality of the situation. With Saturn, it's like, okay, maybe where we thought we could make a show, where we thought we could perform, where we thought we could show our best self, now we have to flip the table. And oppositions are kind of they're either going to tear things apart or complement things. So either like the reality of the world around us, maybe the news, the way that other people are doing things is going to be able to complement us, or to shine, to at least reflect onto us, like how we can deal with life on life's terms. Like, maybe people are there for us, maybe they're not. If we've been doing the work, if we've been making ourselves available to others, if we've been trying to do service and to do more Saturnian things, like trying to put in the hard work, do one step at a time, not cut any corners, then perhaps there's going to be support for us now that we're maybe facing some challenges. Maybe there's going to be some stability for us. But if not, then this will be a kind of a reality check as well, where it's like, okay, maybe we are more alone than we thought we were, and we're going to have to deal with that. Or if we have been putting in the work, maybe there is that support network. And I think with being an Aquarius, it's all about networks. It's all about, what other people are doing, not just about ourselves. It can be, that kind of separation between insider and outsider paradigms. So it's like, if we've been putting in the work up until this point, maybe we're not just outsiders. Maybe we can integrate. We can share our experiences with those that are living in this world as well. But with Taurus there, it's like, okay, well, with the Uranus and Taurus making that square, it's like, well, other people are also going through hard times too. It's not just us. Also, maybe our financial situations are not completely stable, maybe, or, whatever the Taurus area of life rules in our chart, maybe there's parts of our life that we want to get enjoyment from and we can't. There's things that we thought we could connect to normally, but we can't. Or there's just some sort of disruption or delay, or even not necessarily delay, but also, like something that's breaking apart, something we didn't want to be broken apart, something that we usually were leaning on, something that we were connecting to in a sensual way that gave us that comfort level. It may not be as readily accessible as possible. Maybe we can't get the hug we want, but at least we can make the phone call we need to make. And that said, it may be that we have to lower the bar on our expectations of what that's able to give us. All we can do is share our experience. And if others are not able to provide something back for us the way we want it to, we have to let go of that. We have to let go and work with what we have. And I think that if we have been putting in the work, Saturn will at least show that support. But we have to remember that everybody's going through their own experience. They're going through their own process right now. We can't just put all of our issues onto other people. We're in it together, right? It's like, it's not just me. It's also you, right? So it's about keeping an open mind. I think in this situation, it's about more of a magnanimous mind, where we have to remember that there's more than just one experience going on here. So for me, that's kind of it for Monday. So let's just go on into the Tuesday. And then we get that exact, basically right in the middle of the night. So maybe it might be hard for people in Central, maybe sleep might be difficult tonight. Maybe some of the events of today are keeping us up, especially if we don't put in the time to make a plan for ourselves, to try and do things differently, practice the opposite. Not just expect others to make results for us. If we don't try and make a new plan, adjust our plan, make modifications to our plan on some level, see the reality of the situation, then I think that we may have difficulty getting to sleep this night. Now, for people in other time zones, it may just be that this is like where in the middle, wherever you are in your day, this is going to be where things kind of peak and whatever challenges kind of got triggered by the moon coming into Leo in the last 24 hours. This is, like I said, this is kind of the halfway point in the 2021 story. So wherever you have Aquarius and Taurus in your chart, these are parts of your life that are where you thought things were stable or getting disrupted, where you thought things were connected, they're getting separated, where there's order and chaos coming into a kind of a standoff with one another. And this is where we're seeing more social causes being fought for. This is where we're seeing more disruptions in our day-to-day because of the changes in our social environment. This may also just be that, wherever we thought we could make inventiveness in whatever Taurus area of our life, where we thought we could try to make new changes and do things more inventively. Like now they're coming into a situation where it's like, okay, well, like this inventiveness isn't working. So you got to go back to the basics. You got to do things one at a time. You can't just think your way through things. You also have to do things. So I think this is like the two kinds of situations going on. It can be two different ways in which this is getting manifested. But, wherever it's been, I think going on since the first square earlier in the year, now it's like the reverse situation. Saturn is now retrograde. So if we thought that certain boundaries we've been placing on others maybe those are getting loosened a bit. Maybe we're being kind of pressured into breaking our boundaries on some level, trying to do things differently where we don't want to. And we have to try and be flexible, but these are two planets that are really uncompromising. So being flexible is like more challenging than typical. But at the same time, with the square, it's like there's a forcefulness to change. Squares are all about pushing the story forward. And in this situation, it's not an easy change. It's not an easy push forward. There's going to be disruptions. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be, losses on some levels, personally or socially even too. So we can also think about where the ruler of Uranus is right now with Venus being in Cancer. It may be that really intimate parts of our lives, really intimate relationships, really fundamental, secure things that we need, that we usually get comfort from, are being assaulted on some level by the separation, the isolations, the impermanence of life, the life on life's terms is basically going backwards to strike with this part of our life that we wanted to be stable, but now is being broken apart. Maybe that's family, maybe that's career, maybe that's relationships. Wherever that is in your chart, you have to decide how that's being broken apart. Maybe those are the things that you wanted to have fun with, and those were kind of opening up. You were doing things that were exciting, a bit chaotic, that are kind of going against the norm for you on some level. And now with Saturn coming into that square, it's saying, okay, well, you don't have enough resources for it, or your friends are not going to support you in this kinds of just self-destructive behaviors, or maybe it's not working for yourself. Maybe your career is maybe your public reputation is like, okay, you can't just go around being such an inventive, crazy person with chaos or all around you. Unmanageability eventually leads to powerlessness on some level. Like they're kind of coupled and hand in hand. And if we think that we can regain control and use self-will to do whatever we want, Uranus is there to say like, well, here's a bunch of chaos. What are you going to do with that? Maybe you're riding some waves now with the eclipse season going on. But this is Saturn saying like, okay, here are also some waves that could kill you, right? So you have to do things in a more stable manner, or at least try to bring things back to basics when things get a bit unmanageable and out of control, when things are not living up to our ideals, when things are breaking down from what the status quo normally is. Then we have to think about, okay, how do I get back to basics? And what are those? Like, make sure I'm eating food every day, make sure I'm getting enough rest, make sure I'm talking to people that care about me, make sure I'm not totally isolating on things like that. So, I think this is where with Uranus, with Saturn being in Aquarius, it's like, okay, where is the realizations that we have to kind of go back on in terms of how those realizations are fitting in with society on some level, fitting in with or at least in our with those around us, maybe even if we think that we're trying to do things differently, but it's like not working. So where do we get back to something that, and it's like, okay, well, where do we get back to something that's kind of stable and secure for us? But, with Uranus there, it's like, it may not be. So that's why I was saying with the moon, it's like, if we weren't putting in that extra time when we had the time to do things for others, to do things to get out of that self-centeredness, which is like all that Leo's, there's so much self-centeredness related to Leo. And with Mars there, it's like, okay, maybe there's impulsivity to act out on our self-centered interests, but it's not going to go with everything else right now. It's just not, it's not flowing freely with Saturn now in retrograde, going back and saying, okay, where is our ideal not meeting up to the status quo, and where is the status quo not like in tune with our ideals? And, you know, where are those things that I thought I could depend on, but actually there's a lot of disruptions in that. We can't just like assume that, we can't just assume that everybody's going to be there for us all the time. Like, it's not that they don't want to be, it's not that they're not trying to be, it's that they also have problems too, right? You know, we're going through a really difficult time in the world. So we have to try and keep an open mind about that, and practice compassion, because even if we're having a hard time, even if we can't deal with it on our own, on some level, you can find solace in knowing that other people are experiencing this world as well. Yeah, so that's kind of, I don't want to get too caught in it, because I feel like I could talk about that all day. I mean, it's the second square between Uranus and Saturn this year. There's going to be a third one. So just keep that in mind, that this is kind of the halfway point. We have to push through. This is a crisis on some level for us. And with the moon coming up to Virgo on Wednesday, it's like, that's where, you know, we have to push through the crisis in action. We have to keep going. There's no turning back. Okay, so the moon then keeps going through Leo and makes that sextile to Mercury, and then makes the sextile to the sun. So I think this is where we can make some modifications to our plans. If we have the time on Tuesday to look at our financial situation, or to look at whatever plan we had been working on beforehand. If we've been kind of just winging it so far, this is a chance for us to make some modifications to that, to make some adjustments to how we've been exchanging things, how we've been communicating things, how we've been thinking about things, how we've been working towards our ideals on some level. This might be an opportunity for us to make some adjustments to that, to sit down, put pen to paper, write it out, put it in front of us, look at our bank accounts, compare how much money we have to what our expenses are, and to just kind of work things out. Like if we wanted to make a show about things and we wanted to work on some creative projects or to be more performative in our day-to-day, it's like, okay, well, because of the situation in our lives or around us in some levels, maybe we have to put those on the back burner a little bit, and kind of connect more with maybe those mercurial parts of our life, wherever that Mercury is in our chart, or wherever Leo is in our chart. So, you know, if it is in like the second or fourth house, you know, maybe our financial situation isn't really matching up with the home we want to buy or something like that. So maybe we wanted to make a big show of this home we have, but maybe we just don't have enough money to put on the party or whatever, or there's just not enough money right now to pay the mortgage, and we have to go back and make adjustments to that. You know, there was just that eclipse in the Gemini area of our life. So what is it going on in that Gemini area of our lives that we became really clear with the Mercury Cazimi last week? And now we have a chance to show our best selves with the moon being in Leo, and to connect with whatever situation is going on in our Gemini area of life, to make those modifications, to bring a more peaceful motion to things going forward, so that there is a bit more harmony in that area of our lives. I think that's the best way to kind of work with that energy. It's going into the evening that night. So, you know, if we want to get that good night's rest, I think it's good to sit down, put pen to paper, put the situation in front of us and say, you know, what's the next best thing? What's the next thing I need to do? Maybe it's also about connecting with people, connecting with friends on some level, just sharing honestly with others. You know, Leo's all about authenticity and honesty. So if we need to share honestly with our friends, with our family, with our networks, with, just on a social level, being in Gemini, just being open with others and connecting with some of the difficulties we're having will help us to get a better perspective on things, help us to see that, we're not just living in a bubble by ourselves, that other people are in the world around us. So that could be a good way to use that energy. And if you don't have that opportunity, it's a good chance to put pen to paper, put the plan in front of you, count up the numbers, count up the books, see what resources are available. Or if you're planning a trip, Mercury also rules travel. So if you're planning a trip, something that's going to the sun, something going to somewhere where you can get a vacation on some level. And, now it's time to make the plan. How are you getting to the airport? Have you got your tests, your COVID tests ready? Have you been vaccinated or not vaccinated? Whatever you need to do to get that stuff together, the Tuesday is a good chance for us to get that clear, to make the adjustments we need to make. If our Mercury retrograde story, this Mercury retrograde, if we realize what that's about, now there's a chance to make adjustments so that we can deal with it more authentically to ourselves. Okay, so that's kind of it for Tuesday. So let's just go into Wednesday. So Wednesday, basically the moon's just finishing up its transit through Leo. And then it moves into Virgo early in the morning here in Germany or wherever you are. When the moon moves into Virgo, there's going to be, a new energy shift. So now we're starting to consolidate things. The moon is also, now that it's in Virgo, it's also moving into that square with the sun. So we're at the first quarter moon. So whatever kind of setback, whatever kind of challenges have come up since this new moon phase, since the eclipse. I mean, with the eclipses, it's like there's just a lot. It's all a big crisis. So now is the time to kind of push our way forward, to see where we have to do things in order to keep the ball rolling. Because we can't. If we think that things are going to work themselves out, we got another thing coming, right? So with the moon kind of moving forward, it goes into Virgo. It's that energy shift. Now we're starting to put the pieces together. If we took that chance to kind of look at things, put the pen to paper, or at least like share honestly with people, now we can kind of see, okay, maybe that kind of opened up something in our minds, and we can start to kind of put things into perspective a bit, consolidate what we have. Maybe do something on a more meticulous level, like if we have to do the banking, if we have to do our taxings, or if we just have to deal with some sort of numbers and details, then we can kind of get into that a little bit more. Now, it is moon is moving into that opposition to Jupiter, kind of early on in the day here in Germany, but wherever you are. Let's say you're on the Pacific coast, this will be the middle of the night. So it could be that, maybe your mind is really active right now, but, there's some hope on some level. Like maybe if you have been kind of keeping in tune with the bigger picture, trying to see your vision as something that doesn't just like happen overnight, but know that, there has been some opportunities coming up and there's been good things. So regardless of if there have been challenges, there's a lot to be grateful for. And there has been a lot of growth, regardless of if we are knowing it or not. And maybe this is a chance for us to see some of that, to see that there have been opportunities coming up. And now they're kind of in our face a little bit, and either we can take them or not. It's up to us whether or not we want to pay attention to those. If you are on the Pacific coast, like I said, if you're like going to bed, maybe in your dreams, you have a vision about what you're going to do next, what this transit of Jupiter into Pisces has been all about for you. Maybe there's a chance to connect with that on a symbolic and vision level. Or maybe you're just had a really long night that evening, and you're kind of indulging a bit, and because you feel hopeful about things. But with that opposition, it could be that there is the possibility of a little bit of seeing the cracks in this kind of over optimism. Jupiter is about to station retrograde. It's basically frozen there. So wherever we have 2 degrees Pisces, if we have if we have any placements in our chart in any of the double-bodied signs at 2 degrees, Jupiter is going to be activating that pretty severely. So it may just be making those things a bigger, we might see them bigger. It's like we might see the elephant in the room more visibly. And if we haven't been trying to keep things straight, get into the details of things, start to be more realistic about things, it could be that we have a hard time accepting some of the good things that have been growing in our lives, and maybe learning to let go of maybe how some of those things that we were hoping were going to work out are not working out yet. I think this is a chance for us not to cross too many lines, because if we think that just because there's been good things happening and maybe they are not all happening at the exact rate that we want them to, it's like, okay, well, we have to be realistic about these things. And also, like, Jupiter is going back into Aquarius. So whatever growth has been going on, it wasn't meant to be completely manifesting right now. It's going to take some time. It's going to have to go back over some things. Maybe it has to make some decisions before it wants to commit fully to whatever good things had been coming, right? So I think with that Moon Jupiter opposition, it's like, this is a chance for us to not make unrealistic expectations about some of the good things that have been happening. And if you are in a part of the world where this is happening, where you are asleep, maybe you have dreams that are revealing that to you on some level. Okay, so then the moon goes forward, kind of just keeps going through, hold on. Yeah, so the moon just keeps going forward through Virgo. I just wanted to kind of highlight that so basically so that's basically all of Wednesday. So we'll just go into Thursday. So kind of what I wanted to talk about was that kind of 11 to midnight is that the moon is now making the square to the nodes. And I think, this is like the halfway point between the last eclipse, where when moon was in Pisces before and heading towards the north node, things were like increasing. They were getting more intense. There was more and more and more things happening. It was kind of relentless. There was no time to like really sit down. If we got a break, it was only for like an afternoon. It wasn't for a whole day. So it's just like one thing after another. And now that the moon's heading towards the south node, it's like that's starting to decrease. Maybe there's less time. Maybe there's less energy. Maybe there's less resources. Maybe there's just less things happening. So now that we kind of maybe are at this halfway point between the nodes, and we're kind of coming up on the first quarter moon, it's like, okay, maybe now all the things have happened. All the things have happened, and now it's time to push through. What do we need to do now to deal with those things? Things are starting to decrease on some level. So we have to start to work with what we've got right now. We can't just like hope for miraculous things to pop out of the sky. We have to do the work in order to make things, to keep things going. So I wanted to point that out because this is kind of not, I think that eclipse season is not going to end until that Cancer new moon. But this is this halfway point between the two nodes. So it's like, where has things been increasing and where are things now starting to decrease? Where are things pushing and propelling things and entangling us forward? And where are things detangling us, kind of not really certain about where they're going? There's some like, maybe things are a bit scary, where we're having some fears, we're having a hard time trusting things, where we have to learn to let go because there's some loss on some level in it. And so this is the point where we can kind of see those two sides of the coin for that moment. And I think while the moon was going up to there, that's becoming more clear. And especially if we did the work in the last 24 hours or 48 hours to kind of put what we have down on paper, and or at least say the words out in front of us, so that we're not just keeping it to ourselves, so we're not just hiding things, that now we can see what we're working with in order to deal with it. So yeah, okay, so then the moon just keeps going and then makes that trine to Uranus. I think this is maybe a chance for us to, maybe there's a new resource that comes in. Maybe there's some unexpected thing that we can do, or that we can try to get support from. Maybe it's a part of our lives that we usually lean back on anyways. And maybe even though there has been some setbacks and some restructuring to whatever's going on in that area of our life, because of disruptions, because of some uncompromising need to change things, perhaps that on some level supports what we have to do now, what we need to do to push forward. Perhaps there's like, for instance, for me, it's like maybe because with astrology, for me, things have kind of like slowed down in this month, but at the same time, things with my art have really picked up. So this could be like where, a sale that I've been waiting for, the money comes in the bank, so to speak, or maybe there's a commitment made, or something that's kind of coming from that Taurus area of life is now starting to bring us a bit more of a better understanding of what is available to us, and also on some level, like where we can be more resourceful to keep pushing things forward, to keep going forward. Because like I said, as the moon being in Virgo, even though it's not making the exact square to the sun, the whole transit through there is all about where have there been challenges in the last days, and what kind of things have the eclipses revealed. And now we have to like work with that. We have to do what needs to be done in order to either thrive through this or survive through this, or at least to figure out where we stand on it and how to work with that. Okay, so then the moon then makes a square now to Mercury. So I think this is like where if we didn't take the time to make some modifications to whatever Gemini area of our life, this is where it's going to be kind of forced on us on some level. This is like telling us, this is some communication that's saying like, okay, you can't think your way through these problems. You got to do something about it. And you had the chance to do it where it would have been lighter on you, would have been more harmonious on you. You had a chance to do modification, and now it's like, okay, now you have to do something, and maybe you're not going to like it. So, I mean, the moon is also making that sextile to Venus. So perhaps you don't have to do it alone. Maybe you have some help on some level. You may be able to connect with a friend or a relationship, something that's on an intimate level. The moon and Venus are also in their triplicities of water and earth. So, and with the moon connected to Mercury, I think in Mercury's sign, it could be like, whatever the Mercury retrograde story has been for us, that we've had to kind of reanalyze, rethink, recommunicate, re-exchange on some level. There could be some help from someone who's close to us, or at least we've been able to do something on a more pleasurable level that is going to like at least give us some advice, or at least show us that there is still help, regardless of if we think there is or not. Maybe that help is not like so impactful or big, and it also is going to require us to do work for it. We can't just like think that things are going to turn out great for us regardless. It could also be that we're like traveling, with Mercury being the god of travel as well. And the moon is also about like travel and daily travel and transport. Maybe we got into a bike accident or something. And with Venus there, it's like, okay, well, help is close by at least. So, that's the kind of thing I would see it as. Or, maybe we got a ticket on the train, and maybe the ticket, we could appease it. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe the guy who gave us this ticket, just wrote it because he's just doing his job. And, at least we have a chance to contest it. And maybe that contesting works out, but we still like got late for our appointment or something like that. Okay, so that's kind of it. And then the moon will make that opposition to Neptune. So yeah, I think this is where whatever was going on with the Neptune sun square, now we can like look at it maybe with more realistic eyes. Maybe we can see that these kinds of fanciful, imaginative, otherworldly, ethereal dreams that we've been having, that we think are like everything's going to work out because that's just the universe provides. It's like, okay, now we can see that like, okay, maybe the universe doesn't always provide, and I gotta like do something about it. I feel like this whole week is a lot about like stop thinking and start doing. And for me, this opposition is just re-emphasizing that. It's saying like, okay, have you done the numbers? Have you counted up the pieces? And if it's like, okay, I can't really understand where that's going, at least you did the footwork. Do you know what I mean? It's like, as long as we kind of do what our side of things, we just have to let go of the results. And I think with this situation, it's like, okay, we can't really see where things are going so well. It's like staring into a fog, but at least we've done everything we can up until this point to prepare ourselves for that. Anyway, it's kind of how I see that. So I'm just going to go forward onto Friday. So now we're Friday, and the moon is coming up to the end of Virgo, and first we get that trine to Pluto. Now this is kind of in the middle of the night here in Germany and you're in Central Europe, but wherever you are, maybe there's just some seeing that there's some danger on some level. There's some danger on some level. There is a chance for things that could like not, maybe there's a chance that we won't make it there on time. Maybe there's a chance that things are a little bit more scary than we thought they were. But at least, like I said, we're doing the footwork, we're doing the best we can. And that's all anyone can really ask for us. So if things are a little bit scary, we just have to trust the process, that right now, that's where we are right now. And we're just pushing forward, just keeping going. So like, yeah, it's like things are scary, things are uncertain, there's some danger, there's things that are like kind of bubbling beneath the surface that we're not really sure how to deal with yet. But all we can do is just for today, and where we're at right now is like, okay, I'm counting up the numbers. Okay, I'm looking at what I have available. Okay, things are not ideal right now with the first quarter square coming into perfection. They're not exactly going according to plan, but I'm doing everything I can in order to prepare for the worst case scenario. And I think with that trine to Pluto, it's like maybe we see for that moment that worst case scenario. Anyway, so then we get the first quarter square, go exact. I think basically that's just kind of showing it's showing the peak of what's been going on since the moon came into Virgo. That like I said, we have to get a more realistic picture on things. We have to put down onto paper what's been going on. If we have to re-exchange things, recommunicate things, re-deal with things, then that's where we're at. I mean, like I said, with Mercury ruling Virgo, this is like where we have to go backtrack on things and not just think it through. We have to do it through. And with that first quarter square, it's like, okay, what actions do I need to take in order to deal with this stuff? So then that's it. So then the moon then goes into Libra, energy shift. Now things are more about relationships, maybe more about compromising, maybe more about lowering the bar on some level. Maybe we have to like seek out some rebalancing of things. Maybe we can do things that like aestheticize our environments on some level. Maybe we have some time to, if you're an artist as well, if you're working on some painting or working on your art, redecorate your studio, redecorate your environment on some level, make some decisions on what you need to do and weigh the pros and cons between things. Now that the moon is in that sign-based trine to the air signs, maybe whatever kind of things we've been loosening up with Saturn going retrograde there. Now we can kind of like see where we need to rebalance it. And with the Mercury retrograde, it's like, okay, maybe we can connect with others in order to make a plan, in order to deal with whatever it is that there's been some snafus or setbacks on some level. Cool. So then the moon, just the first thing it does is makes that sextile to Mars. So what's been going on since the moon went into Leo on the weekend? Oh no, since Mars went into Leo on the weekend, and then also since the moon made that conjunction to Mars, over the weekend. So, where can we make some modifications now that are going to be a bit lighter, that are going to be a bit more manageable before the square happens? What can we do now in order to make some new decisions that are going to help us? What can we let go of? What can we be more truthful about, and kind of step away from some of the harder things that have been going on, to recollect our thoughts, recollect our position on things, and to make a new decision if there's new challenges coming up ahead. But essentially, with Mars in Leo there's just a lot of loudness right now. There's a lot of pushing forward with wills. People maybe there's some ego battles going on, with jealousies and resentments and things like that. Maybe they're a bit more on the cuff. Maybe somebody did something we didn't like, or they've hurt our pride on some level, and we wanted to get back at them. But maybe this is a chance for us to kind of reestablish, what's the truth about that, and what's our position on that, and do we really need to get involved in the chaos of others right now? Maybe somebody let us down, or they hurt our pride, they said something we didn't like, whatever, that, on some level that has nothing to do with us. It's like, okay, well, what's going on with me? Where do I stand? Probably I've got other things to deal with now, especially since the eclipse, since the moon went through Leo. We got other things to deal with now. So, this could be a chance to just peacefully let go of that stuff and make some new positions for yourself rather than holding on to old ones. So that's kind of it for Friday. Now we're in Saturday. Moon just keeps going through Libra. Kind of maybe this is a chance for us to be more connected with relationships. There's that. What I think is cool too, while the moon's going through Libra, is that there's the mutual reception between Venus and moon. Before it was like whenever moon went through those Mars signs, there was a mutual reception with Mars. But now with Venus, it's like maybe when the moon's going through Venus, through Friday and Saturday, and Sunday, maybe there's this chance to connect with the relationships that we want to connect with. Maybe there's a chance for us to work on creative projects that mean a lot to us, that are more intimate for us, that give us sense of meaning in our lives, that connect us with the past, that connect us with the others around us. Maybe this is like where we can see others involved in our lives that we weren't able to see because we were kind of overwhelmed with all the troubles and the problems going on in our lives or in the world around us. This is a chance for us to see and reconnect on this very cooperative level with the others who mean a lot to us. And maybe there's some forcefulness. I mean, the moon's going to move into a square with Venus, but there's this with the mutual reception. I think that whatever difficult conversations that come up, it will be for the best. Anyway, thought that was worth pointing out before going into the trine with Saturn. So the moon makes that trine to Saturn. I think this is just where we can try to reestablish our position with, what's not working out, or where some of the setbacks have needed to go back on, or where maybe we've been kind of letting go of our discipline on certain things. Maybe some of the structures in our lives have been kind of loosened up a bit. And I think with the moon going through Libra, it's like there's a good chance for us to do something that reestablishes that good, healthy bond between our structures and our rituals and our everyday routines and things like that. The things that kind of give us more stability, and also that provide us with a spiritual connection as well, that give us a sense that things are going to be okay, even if they're hard right now. With Saturn is quite a mystical planet, and it really is just asking us, it's like, are you doing the work? Are you doing this? Are you doing the spiritual work right now to keep it going? If you're not having a daily practice, this is a good chance for you to try and do one, to try and connect to one, or to just reestablish one, especially if like you do have a daily practice. And for me, at least, I found that ever since Saturn went retrograde, my whole routine practice has just been off. It's just been off. And I think this is a good day. This is a good morning here in Germany, but a good time in general to connect with our routine that really gives us structure, and that routines are not just meant to make us feel like a prisoner of our own life. No. They're actually supposed to give us structure for those free fall moments, like in Zen Buddhism, the whole practice, it does seem quite daunting to many because there's so many formalities to it. But those forms are there for a reason, because when you have a Kensho enlightenment experience, when you're practicing deep Zazen, you're in free fall. You're just falling. There's nothing there. And those structures are keeping you standing up. They're keeping you from falling down. And I think that this transit is a good chance for us to reconnect with those structures that are keeping us standing up. And maybe they've been kind of off a bit, and maybe it's been feeling like they're not as pertinent as usual. But I think in this case, it's like we can kind of maybe we can redecorate our space to make it something, bring back the feng shui on some level, so that we can maybe sometimes we get a bit bored with our routines, and that's okay. Sometimes you just need to change some things so that it has that sense of novelty to keep going. So yeah, anyway, so then the moon then keeps going, and then it also trines to that Gemini stuff, right? So that's really, I think with the trine to Mercury, I think this is where it's like we can maybe see that some of the number crunching maybe we've been doing the last days is having some results, and there's a good output from that. Maybe we did our taxes, and the declaration goes in and everything looks good. And, that's that kind of thing. Or if it doesn't look good, at least the declaration's in and we don't have to do that anymore. So I think that's like maybe a positive result through whatever kind of mercurial matters we've had to deal with. So exchanges, maybe some skills we've been working on, maybe some conversations we've been having, maybe some travel that we've had to do, or rearranging of things in our Gemini areas of life. Now we can kind of get more of a feeling of balance in those parts of our lives. Anyway, so then the moon keeps going and makes that square to Venus. Now, I kind of already talked a little bit about that. They are in mutual reception. So I think there is there's going to be more collaboration than challenge, I think. But I almost see this almost like a bit of a sextile on some level, where it's like, okay, there's some modification to be made. Maybe there's some sort of intimate thing in our life that needs to be taken out of it, maybe something like that. Maybe there's like some furniture in the house, or some things on the walls, or maybe there's something that just needs to be rearranged, or needs to be changed, needs to be taken out, needs to be reestablished on some level. Maybe there is some sort of like harsh change. Maybe it feels kind of harsh, but I think whatever it is, it's going to be something that brings good results out of it. So it's like, maybe there is some sort of a hard push forward, but then it makes our space feel more open, makes our space feel more welcoming, makes us feel more at home in our environment, makes us feel more intimate with those around us and things like that. So I thought that's kind of interesting. Anyway, so that is Saturday. So let's just go into Sunday. So Sunday, what happens here? First thing first, the moon makes a square to Pluto. So yeah, I think that this is where the reality of something kind of dangerous is more apparent. Maybe it's not with us personally. Maybe it's with something more common, something more mundane. Maybe something we're seeing in the news right now is just a bit more scary and violent somewhere than we're comfortable with. It's going to put things off a bit, with Venus, with the moon in Libra. There's this kind of need for harmony and peaceability and diplomacy, but with that square to Pluto, it could be that there's some danger in terms of like, we can't just be passive about it completely. Maybe our feelings are involved as well, right? So I think that's something to remember too. It's like, just because we're not actively involved in something doesn't mean that we're not involved in it, because of our feelings are involved, right? Our experience of things on a physical level. Anxieties add up, right? They count up in the body. If the body keeps holding in all that anxiety, it's going to purge it at some level. So, and I think Pluto's reminding us that the body's keeping the score. Anyway, and then the moon, just before it leaves Libra, makes that trine to the sun. I personally like that. That's like, okay, now maybe we're kind of back more on track with our plans. Things are not in the best situations for all of us, but at least like, there's some good support coming now. The sun is in the analytic degree there, so perhaps there is some sort of crisis there, but maybe we're in a better position. Both luminaries are in a bit of a crisis position with the analytic degree, 29th degree there. But, maybe we're in a better position to deal with the crisis. Maybe we're in a better position to have difficult conversations. Maybe we have just a better state of mind where we're after all that's kind of gone on through the week, we're in a better position to say, okay, like, yeah, this is not the best situation, but things are going to be okay. This too shall pass. And, we're doing the best we can. And I think like with the moon making that trine to the sun, it's like, now the ideal, the direction we're going in, the ambitions we have, and the reality of our situation, the circumstances, the environment we're in, the position we're at on a personal level is more capable of getting things back on track, getting things back to movements that are more manageable, that are more going according to plan, especially as both the luminaries are just about to switch into water signs too. So moon's just about to go into Scorpio. That's going to happen today. And then on Monday, we get the summer solstice, right? So, this is the halfway point of the year. Now the light is at a peak. The light is at the top, but darkness is starting to rise now. Light is no longer increasing. It is dominant. Everything's bright. Everything's seen. We can see everything around us. The daytimes are as long as possible. We know what's going on in the world, in our lives and around us. There's no illusion in terms of where the direction of our lives are going at this present time. But that's starting to decrease. As darkness increases, we have to get ready for, what is uncertain. And there's no better time to do that when we know what is on the table. Okay, so then the moon then moves into Scorpio. This is now reactivating that fixed signs. Now we have that grand cross. I mean, like I said, I don't like to use these symbols, but now that the moon is in Scorpio, it's now opposing Saturn. It's opposing Uranus, square to Mars, and square to Saturn. So it's like, I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult. Every time the moon's going to go through fixed signs until Mars moves through Leo, it's going to be challenges. It's going to be refacing the difficulties that we had to deal with during that first moon through Leo at the beginning of the week. And now that we're at the end of the week, maybe it's like we can get more on a more deeper level with things. Maybe we're a bit more intense about it. Maybe we're just a bit more sensing that things are changing. There's a powerlessness to that. We have to just kind of try to fortify things for us on an emotional level, get more into our gut feelings, know where things are and are not working for us on a personal level, and just like have to let go of that stuff. Like if we have an instinct that this situation is really hard for us, how do we get back to ourselves? How do we get back to something where we can purge out the things that are really challenging and damaging us? This is not a time for self-harming, right? And I think there is a danger there to do any kind of emotional self-harm. And I think on this level, we just have to ground ourselves and try to, understand that like there's some destruction going on around us, and we can't do things beyond where we're at either. And thankfully, I mean, what's cool is that the moon does make that trine to Jupiter. So there's some support coming in from our Pisces area of life to aid us in this kind of more sensitive, more kind of destructive moment, with the moon being in Scorpio and being in a square to Mars. Now Jupiter did just station retrograde, so this is kind of this is the end of things expanding in our Pisces area of life. Now they're retracting. Now they're going back. There's something unfinished in our Aquarius area of life that needs Jupiter's attention, that still needs to be expanded, that still needs to be unified, that still needs some sort of affirming action, that needs its support still. The things that have been expanding in our Pisces area of life, the things that have been showing opportunities and growing in abundance and giving us more faith, bringing us into a better understanding and a better knowledge about some of the vision that we have for our lives, that's gotta take a break right now. It's not over. It's just like, it's got to take a break because Jupiter needs to go back and maybe deal with that grouchy roommate who's not able to get his shit together right now. Maybe or he or she or whatever. Maybe they're just like need help, and Jupiter's going back to give that help. It's going back to be like, okay, this is the plan, and this is how we're going to keep things going. And this is what we need to do in order to give you the support that you need right now. So Jupiter's just going back. Maybe we have to go back to basics. We have to take things back to where we thought there was some growth, where we thought there was stability, where we thought there was structure, and things were like going according to plan. With Saturn going retrograde now, it's like, okay, well, they're not working exactly as we thought they would. And Jupiter's like, all right, I see that now. I got to go back, and my help is still needed. There's still service to be done, and whatever kind of growth and opportunities have kind of come up in the last months, those will come back. It's just not right now. And I think with the moon making the trine to Jupiter, it's just showing us that we got to lower the bar. If we're just running on expectations, we're going to keep hurting ourselves. What is it? Disappointment is the sibling to expectation. And I think this is where we can have a better understanding of that, a better like emotional and sensitive way of connecting to how things just got to go back. Sometimes it's one step forward, two steps back. It's just life on life's terms. And maybe for some of us, that's really hard if we haven't been putting in the work right now. But I think with that trine there, it's like, it's kind of a helping hand saying, listen, we got to deal with some things first. It's not that things are not going to happen for you. It's just that you got to practice some patience, trust the process. We got to go back and deal with some things that need being dealt with. Like there's somebody who needs help right now, and we got to go back and help them. And I think that's what for me, that's what that trine is about, because then the moon moves away and makes the square to Mars, right? So with Mars in this fire sign within the sun sign, and the sun is in the analytic degree of Gemini, with Mercury like full on retrograde, moving way back into the North Node. It's like, I think Mars is just like wants to put on a show, wants to show what it's got, and to be the best, and to make sure its pride never gets hurt, and to never be let down, and to be, it's just like, I need to be this, and I'm supposed to be that, and I'm going to do this, and no matter what, and I'm going to make all the promises, and I'm going to keep all the promises. But it's like, can't keep all the promises, man. Can't keep all the promises. You're not in a position to keep all the promises. So I think with the moon making that square to Mars, it's like, if we haven't been living authentically, now it's really gonna hit. And Mars is in the overcoming position here. So it's like, it's kind of decimating the moon here. And the moon's in a really bad, dignity, being in detriment here. So moon is not in a good position to take a hit from this point of view, where it's like, actually, we're not as super as we thought we were. And we're not the heroes that everyone is expecting us to be. And we're not the heroes that we're expecting ourselves to be. We have to kind of check ourselves here, because this is like a really sensitive moment. The moon is not in good position. It's going to make that square to Saturn not long after, and then make the opposition to Uranus. So it's like, with that square to Mars, it's like, maybe it's not worth fighting for right now. You know what I mean? You got to know your battles, and don't be scheming in the background, because there's just going to be no chance. There's going to be no chance to have any time to scheme or anything. So let those resentments go. If you get hurt right now, if somebody says something or does something that wounds you on some level, you just have to let it go. Pick your battles, because this is not the time to get into fights or to get into conflicts with people over pride and ego, because it will hit you in the face. Anyway, I think that's all I got for this week. I'm not going to get into Monday. Next week, next week the moon moves into Cancer. We get Cancer season. We get the summer solstice, like I said. And I'll just break those things down next week. This week is a bit of a hitter, so we're all dealing with it here. Anyway, so that's it for this week. I hope everybody got something out of that. Did it more on the cuffs this time. Thought I would try out a little bit of my Mars in Leo and see if I can just do this without notes. Not sure. Anyway, hope you guys got something out of that. Thanks always for tuning in, for your support. If you want to book a consultation with me, information's down below. If you want to support this channel, hit the like button, comment, subscribe. All that stuff goes a really long way. Please let me know how this week is going for you, how this eclipse season is going for you. I'm pretty interested in that stuff. We're coming on to the Sagittarius. We're coming up to the Capricorn full moon. So that'll be interesting, I think. We're going to be seeing where things are more realistic and where they're not. Okay, that's it for this week. Thank you always for tuning in. Best of luck with everything. Keep coming back. Bye for now.